All righty, folks. My next guest is the Assistant Secretary at the Department of Homeland Security, who is here to discuss the killings at the Dallas, Texas ICE facility. Welcome, Tricia McLaughlin. Trish, really important. The rhetoric on the left has been heightened. We're seeing bullet casings with leftist ideology scratched into them, and now people are being killed at ICE offices. Tell us what's going on. What are you guys doing? And tell us what you know.
Yeah, absolutely, Eric. And thank you so much for having me. Yesterday was just an awful day. This deranged individual started opening fire on our ICE law enforcement facility down in Dallas. He started spraying at everything in sight, the facility itself, the vans that actually were holding the detainees at the time. You mentioned, you have on screen there, those shell casings that had etched in them anti-ICE messages. We also found out from the FBI earlier today at a press conference, they found handwritten notes by the perpetrator that said that he wanted to terrorize ICE and would do so. We also saw that he might have been inspired by the Charlie Kirk murder. There are some similarities there as far as it was from a far range, it was from a rooftop, and there was a similar firearm that was recovered. This has to stop, this political violence in our country. We have a 1,000% increase in assaults against our men and women. And now we have three human beings, three detainees who were killed because of this deranged individual. One of those individuals was killed and two are in critical condition. So our prayers are with them tonight. Our prayers are with our law enforcement. But Eric, what's happened in this country, really from the left's rhetoric, being media pundits, being politicians like AOC, like Gavin Newsom, like Mayor Brandon Johnson out of Chicago, it's got to stop. It's out of control, and it's going to lead to more bloodshed.
Yeah, let's play a couple of these sound bites. Let's take Jasmine Crockett first. Just watch this, folks.
But as somebody who understands history, when I see ICE, I see slave patrols. Now, I never lived through the slave patrol period, but if you know the history of policing in this country, then you understand that they were born out of slave patrols.
You know, and they've called Trump Hitler. They've called MAGA people like me Nazis. How about Gavin Newsom, who's making life very, very difficult for ICE officers in California? Watch.
I'll be signing a bill, the first in the nation, saying enough. To ICE, unmask. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? If you're going to go out and you're going to do enforcement, provide an ID. Tell us which agency you represent. Provide us basic information that all local law enforcement is required to provide.
How dare that SOB dox ICE agents or demand them be doxed in the state of California? By the way, that bill he signed right there was September 10th, on the very day Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Thoughts?
I mean, just horrendous. And unfortunately, Americans got the answer. Gavin Newsom got the answer. What are ICE law enforcement afraid of? Well, it's deranged individuals like this who go after them with violence, who try to kill them, who try and dox their families. We're seeing that increasingly. Individuals are doxing the ICE agents' spouses where they work, their children where they go to school. We're seeing increased targeting. But Gavin Newsom, just hours before that press conference where he announced that unconstitutional law to ban the wearing of masks by our ICE law enforcement agents, he also sent out a very menacing, threatening tweet against Secretary Nome. It just shows he will go to any length to get a fundraising click, to get a viral moment, or to get his next hit on MSNBC. It's incredibly selfish, and it's incredibly dangerous for the country.
Yeah, I tell you, folks know that I went out on an ICE raid, largely in part of Tricia helped me secure that, and the agents were wearing masks, and I talked to them about that, and they said, Bolling, do you understand something? If I take this mask off, they have facial recognition. Tren del Arago has facial recognition software where all they have to do is live on the spot, live stream me for 1 second, and they'll know exactly where I live and where my family are. That is scary, insanely scary. These people deserve the privacy of being able to do their job without risking their families' lives. Gavin Newsom, I would say, has blood on his hands based on what... Now, the shooter happened to shoot an illegal that was being detained. He didn't even shoot an ICE agent, but he could have, and he could have killed a lot.
Completely. And you made a great point, Eric. The fact that they have the technology, these activists, these rioters, to track down who our ICE enforcement officers actually are as well. They're targeting the worst of the worst. We've said it before, Tren de Aragua, MS-13, known or suspected terrorists. But we also know that this deranged individual who conducted this shooting at the Dallas facility, he was very reliant on the use of these ICE tracking apps to know where our ICE law enforcement is. And again, that leads us to why do these ICE law enforcement wear masks? They clearly present themselves when they're on an operation. They're most of the time wearing either an ERO or a Homeland Security investigator or a DHS bulletproof vest. They verbally tell the target who they are, and they're flanked also by vehicles that have DHS emblem on them. I've been on almost a dozen of these operations at this time. I know you were on one recently as well. They very clearly present who they are. And by the way, Gavin Newsom clearly just doesn't know his facts here. These individuals have full due process, in fact, more due process than most Americans get.
100%. There is no question who's coming in to arrest these folks. They're lit up. Sometimes there's local law enforcement with them, but they're well marked as ICE and other forms of law enforcement. There's no secret about it. But to say that their face needs to be exposed, especially from a person, I don't even barely call Gavin Newsom a person these days, who walks around with armed security just to make sure he and his family are safe. He's willing to do that, but he wants other law enforcement people to risk their families for what? Ideology, for political ideology, just for a few clicks, as you point out. Tricia, to your credit, I'd like the folks to understand something. Oscar Ramirez, a reporter for RAV here in south of the border. He's in Tijuana right now. He's got his family, his young son, his wife there. He's been threatened by the cartels down there to make the folks up, bring the full transparency. I texted Tricia a couple of days yesterday. I said, is there anything you can do? So we have this guy, and we're showing some video of what he believes, what he's told by the police, local police, that those are two cartel members who've been showing up at his residence and family members' residence in Mexico, armed, looking to intimidate, scare, who knows what, to the Ramirez family. What can we do, Tricia? Is there anything we can do?
This is something we will certainly look into and make sure that Oscar and his family and his children are safe. We know that the cartels are becoming increasingly desperate. President Trump has really cut off so much of their market by closing that border, because no longer are our law enforcement stuck at those processing centers, but they're now out on the field stopping these drug traffickers, stopping these drug mules. So they've turned also to maritime trafficking. We've seen the Department of War step in, and we've seen those strikes on maritime drug traffickers. So I think that is part of what we're seeing is an increasingly hostile cartel. But I know this is a good friend of yours, Eric, and this is absolutely something we're looking into, and we're going to look out for his safety.
You know, he's a great reporter. He's puts himself in harm's way. Put out video of cartel mass graves that they found literally that no one had known about, of cartels dropping off refrigerators with dead bodies in them. And he reports this, putting aside his own security to do it, and we're just very concerned about it. And by the way, Tricia, personal note here, I lost an only child, a son, to a fentanyl death the fentanyl came from China. So I appreciate everything you guys are doing on the southern border, and appreciate you guys really just taking care of the folks who are the good people. And for once, and the difference between the left and right, on the right, we take care of the citizens, of the good people, and we don't protect the criminals. On the left, they like to protect the criminals at the risk and stake of the good people. Tricia McLaughlin, thank you, and please send our best to Secretary Noem.
Will do. Eric, thanks so much for having me, and God bless you.
And God bless you too. Thank you so much. All right, folks, we'll be back. 2.5 minutes.